Yeah.
Here we go.
It's all happening. Woo!
It's all happening.
None of us have beers.
Hola! I do.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
All my
Speak
beers
for
are
your
right
fucking
here.
self.
All my beers are right here. I'm ready.
Since we barely have any, I'm saving mine.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was like, damn. Cos wants us to get drunk. Cos wants us to get drunk.
Hey,
That's
I've
what
stayed
it is.
sober all day from all types of things, so I can be clear-headed for this.
Oh, I only stayed
I'm
so.
ready.
I did not. I have maintained my daily average.
What up, Daniel?
State condition learning.
It sounds weird
Yes.
if I yell out Brandon. Hey, Brandon. Hi, how you doing? Great. Don't take it so long, Matt.
Matt, we are drinking Schlock Purist first.
In the old school glass that I can barely
Aww.
not get on camera. But yes.
Yeah.
The old school glass? What's the old school glass? I didn't see it.
The monkey paw etched.
Ah, sweet. I like it. Oh, the original. Yeah, the original
The
logo.
original. Still have a little bit. The memories and the memorabilia are both fading, but little bits and pieces still around.
I still like that green and white ringer shirt with the flag, with the monkey flag on it. That was the best one.
Have one, but it's too stained to wear out.
Oh, me too.
White shirts, they look great the first time you wear them.
Yeah, exactly.
They look good on somebody else, not me.
I don't buy white. No way. It'll be dirty before I put it on. No thanks. Mm-hmm.
Skull bucket,
All right.
huh?
Hey,
Yeah.
folks. So we're at 11 people. What do you think,
Yeah.
Brian?
Fire it up.
All
Have
right.
faith.
Hello and welcome to the Indie Beer Show.
Hey,
Great screen gags, everyone. Well done. Tonight we are joined by longtime friend of the show, Cosimo Sorrentino from the Original Brewing. Hello and welcome, sir, if you have swallowed.
Yes, absolutely. Good evening, gentlemen and lady.
That is awesome. If you could describe your role with the Original 40, please do so.
I take care of everything up to the point that the beer is poured. Ordering grain, deciding what needs to be made, organizing, a lot of the logistics on that side, making sure labels are getting made, brewing the beer, making sure Jacobo knows what's going on so he can take care of the cellar side of things, and then stocking the cold room, getting deliveries staged, all of that. I take care of everything until beer leaves the house, whether it's in a keg, a can, or a pint glass.
Nice.
Rad. That's a great description. And speaking of beer, this is a beer show, so we thought we'd drink way too much.
A lot of beers.
But we're starting with Schlock Purist. So why don't you break down this beer for us and what we should expect to be tasting here in our glass?
Well, I actually chose this beer as the starter beer because this was a transition beer. This is a beer that Chris actually did the wort side production on. And I was there as getting into the transition. And then I did the lagering phase, the cellar side of it, and then ended up canning it. So this is kind of the chapter turner, we could say, with things. Original 40 has had an amazing lager program from the beginning, which can be a little bit of fun to schedule around, but really enjoy the beers, really enjoy making the beers. And so really happy to step in and have that road kind of already paved for me. There will be some changes to some recipes and some names, of course. But for the most part, we'll keep that program going like it was designed before, and try to keep it on the same level that Chris had it at.
Cool.
Well, I agree that the level of loggers of OG40 have always been pretty dang high from day one, and this is no exception. Crisp, clean, perfect, no lingering hop bitterness, just a very neutral mouth finish. Super enjoyable. Thank you. Round one, approved.
I like Mikey's description of it.
Yeah, facts.
He said.
That was his picks? I'm sorry. I don't speak asterisk too good.
Yes, yeah, they're hard to translate sometimes.
Yeah.
You can't convey toad in your asterisks. It's very difficult. So, Cos, we know a lot about your history, but for the listeners that may not know, lead us through your craft beer career and how you ended up here at OG40.
This, and to be just straight up and frank, as I usually am, this was the first time in a long time where the decision wasn't solely based on my career in the beer. I was back in town after returning from Europe. My dog was getting on the older side, and with the COVID situation and everything, knew I wasn't going to be going anywhere for a little while, and wanted to be around beer and, just have that experience again, smell fermentation, have some stainless around. And so I started at Kilowatt, helping them out, doing some cellaring work and, some basic stuff around. And then Chris gave me a call and said he needed some help at Original 40 as well. And then when he hit the point where he moved on over to Newtopia Cider, the door was open for me, and it met all the requirements I had, which were that I'd have a work environment, that I wasn't going to be around people. No, with COVID, I live with my 71-year-old father. So that was more important than anything. I could have not worked, but I wanted to do something. I had spent 8 months sitting on my ass playing video games. So the opportunity to be in a brew pub in the neighborhood with the freedom to do, whatever I'd like to do, but also having that base of great lagers, great IPAs, the recognition already coming in, the flow of customers, the expectations, it all just kind of added up. And so Steve, the owner, and myself have been very honest with each other. I'm in no rush to leave, but I'm also open to any opportunities at the moment. So we have a really nice relationship going on, and for right now, however long that may be, it's working out great, and I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome.
And what time did that transition take place?
End of October, early November. Yeah. So right in there, which ironically was the same right at the anniversary of me leaving Monkey Paw 4 years before. So it seems to always be
Full
kind
circle.
of a month of transition for me with that whole timeline.
And so for all these new school people who don't know about, say, like how you got started and Monkey Paw and all of that, maybe take them through that a little bit too.
Quick recap. I was a local beer geek running around, the festivals, being the guy trying to get the last pours, taking glasses from special events, doing the whole thing. Started homebrewing with Chris West, who started a brewery in town as well, Bay City. And I got lucky enough that Scott Blair had kind of recognized the talent and offered me a job straight out of Local Habit under Barry, who's now up at Fieldwork. So kind of all of these little connections came together, and Blair offered me the job to be the head brewer at Monkey Paw. I ran Monkey Paw for 2 years, and then we built out and opened up South Park Brewing concurrently. Ran both of those together for about a year and a half before leaving San Diego and moving to Copenhagen, Denmark for 3 years.
Just a small change.
Your average story.
Like you do.
Happens all the time. How cliche, Cos, man. Jeez.
Well, some of us have the joy of children and a family, and some of us have the joy of moving halfway around the world. it was something I had the opportunity to do, and luckily or unluckily, didn't have any of the other factors holding me back. So it was awesome.
That's rad.
And and when you are you looking to go back, let's say on the road in your future? Like, so, let's say COVID's over and that's not a concern. Are you interested in that adventure again? Is what I'm asking.
Yes, I'm
So
interested in it.
I'm like, so you're leaving us again? Is that what you're saying?
I felt a lot more strongly last time about needing to leave. I think that I've learned a lot about myself and about the industry traveling, and I see a bigger window for staying in San Diego. That being said, a lot of the factors that led to me leaving the first time are still in place. The biggest of which is not bad at all. It's the fact that San Diego has a ton of great beer. They're not hurting for it. I don't feel like there's a gap to fill. I enjoy being a part of it and having the resources so that I can grow. But in the way of success in business, in fulfillment, and all of that, I still feel like there's plenty of places in the nation, in the world, that need better beer and fresher beer. And other people that could get helped out through my experience to not only me provide it, but help other people provide it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to throw reason at us, I mean, come on. Don't give it
my first beer. Believe me, I'll get there soon.
We will come visit you in Pierre, South Dakota. It's going to be rad.
Hey.
He's like, maybe.
He's like, hey, I'm going to get on the Mount Rushmore of South Dakota brewers.
Yeah, no, I definitely need a little bit more of an urban environment than that. But really just kind of looking for, the culinary inspiration was a huge part of moving to Copenhagen. So anywhere that could offer that would be awesome. And then, just being able to be in a place where the resources are available, but they haven't been taken advantage of yet.
Awesome.
And a really great spot to be in. So I think you just said you want to be Johnny Applebeer, and I'm all for that. Spread the San Diego gospel far and wide when you get there. But it's time for more damn beer. And so this will be the first time, but we will also conclude the show with this. We're going to compare two beers side by side, and it's Murk Drop and Murk Drop Stone Fruit. And I always love doing this. So Murk Drop is the base double dry hopped IPA, and then Stone Fruit, we've added some fruit in there so we get to contrast and compare.
Yes.
Let's get this one.
Sorry.
There you go. Estella is modeling for us. Well done.
I like how it's leaning out of frame so well. This is great. It's almost like coordinated beer opening right now.
I don't
synchronized beer opening.
Yes, it's a new Olympic sport.
If there's a God, that would be great. So I didn't have the OG, but I did come prepared.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, that was a nice little logo. I always like how he had like the monkey had like a Three Stooges haircut.
All of them put together.
Exactly.
All right, Cos. Why don't you let us know the differences? But first, we'll start with the base Murk Drop.
Okay, so this is kind of, when I left San Diego, hazy wasn't really a thing. It was starting to come into style, but there was a lot to learn. Brewers had a lot to learn. Consumers had a lot to learn about what they actually wanted, what they actually enjoyed. And being in Denmark, they loved hazies. The most common word I would hear when I was behind the bar or around the bar, they'd come in, the bartender would ask what they'd want, and they'd want something frisk, which just translates to fresh. They wanted something light and citrusy and easy to drink. So 4.5% hazy IPAs is what crushed it there. That being said, there's still some dedicated drinkers, some colder nights. So we were making some higher ABV stuff. And a lot of the work that we did there was really trying to get that finishing gravity up. Higher mash temperatures, higher dextrin malts, less attenuative yeasts, all sorts of things to try and get the beer to finish with more body and sweetness, but also to get that expressiveness from the yeast, which usually requires a little bit of a higher temperature, which makes the yeast more active. So getting all these things kind of dialed in and figuring out the best way to meet them in the middle. So came back with that mentality. Obviously, there's been plenty of hazy stuff going on here, but I did feel that coming from that perspective, it was even more of this sweet, fuller bodied, juicy thing. So this beer is finishing at just over 5 Plato. So 5% sugar, which is about 2.5 times the amount of residual sugar in the West Coast that we'll be drinking. So just as kind of a point of reference for that. And then it's not overly hopped. Once again, a lot of the character is coming from the yeast as well. This one has Belma, Cashmere, Simcoe, Zamba in it. And so just straightforward, you know, it has enough bitterness in there to counteract the sweetness, but that bitterness is just going to be because there's so much plant material in it. Officially on paper, this beer has like 18 IBUs, but there's plenty of polyphenols going on in there.
Throwing a lot of big words at me. I just want to keep drinking this. That's all I know.
In the end, that's your job. My job is to figure all this stuff out, and then you do that. So
yeah, I'll keep on doing that.
We're both in our lane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really enjoying the fruited version. That's spectacular.
So, part of my journey right now is just kind of dealing with what was left for me. So these hops, I have fruit puree. I have all sorts of fun stuff that got left for me. I mean, obviously, Chris was making some incredible beers, wide diversity. The shutdown happened. He left, so there was a lot of backstock hanging out. And I love to be challenged. I love, designing something, but I also love kind of the Iron Chef chopped way of just handing me something, saying, here's what you got, or here's what we need, and having to figure it out. So we took apricot and nectarine and brought it down into the little side tank we had. So all the ratios were determined by the equipment and what was on hand. And
nice.
We pushed it out. This one actually, there was a little bit of re-fermentation, but there's a good amount of fruit still sitting there. And so we wanted to do that because we knew it was going to be pretty acidic with the apricot. So we wanted to help balance that out by leaving a little bit of the sugar behind. Great beer. It's been rated. It's almost a 4.2 on Untapped. It's the first time in my life I've ever tracked a beer on that.
Nice.
But yeah, it seems to be doing all right.
It tastes great. It's such a you almost can't believe that the base beer is underneath all that because they've woven together so nicely to make something that's completely different, and there's a nice dovetail between the hops and the fruit, and it's just a really nice drink, and almost, I don't know, I'm just babbling at this point, but I really enjoy it.
Well, at some point here we'll start getting crazy and adding marshmallow fluff and vanilla and all that stuff, but I'm still kind of coming from that natural,
don't forget the coconut
kind of thing. Well, we'll have that in the stout. That's coming.
I find that Apple Jacks is a good crossover fruit cereal thing. So if you want to start there, it's almost natural. It's almost natural.
But there has to be some sort of connection. Like with this, the stone fruit from the yeast, you had the cashmere in there, where later when we do the coconut with the stout, we use Sabro as the dry hop. So not only is it playing and kind of counteracting those roasty notes, but we're getting that's a similar flavor as well from the hops. So the same here. I'm doing the balance with the acidity and the sweetness, but also trying to express some of those notes that we already had going between the yeast and the hops. So, still trying to keep it a little bit true to the philosophy. But, you got to sell it. I don't make this beer for me to drink. So
right.
That's like an original 40 brunch double IPA. It's the perfect beer for the brunch at OT40.
Super good.
But it's dangerously drinkable.
The fruit addition and that slight re-fermentation, dried it out just enough for me that it really is too crushable for 8.5. So
we're down to 2 cases of it. So if you want some, come and get it.
All right, it's on the short list. Get the Murk Drop Stone Fruit now before you fucking miss out. Nobody wants that. That's awesome, man. So in honor of your past and where we all fell in love with you, we decided for our top 3 tonight that we were going to name our top 3 monkey paw beers of all time, the ones that we're missing the most.
Holy shit. Okay.
And so since it's Brandon's idea, we're going to start with Brandon.
Yeah.
Great idea, by the way. But your third favorite monkey paw beer of all time, Mr. Hernandez.
Well, I kind of feel like what I want to say is going to be on everybody's list real high. So I'm going to not say that because, I mean, and then I think there's another one I want to say, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on there too. So I'm going to pick, no, you know what? I'll just go with what I want.
Number 3, Brandon. Number 3.
I like Ashes. Ashes from the grave.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Now that is it because it really summed up the way you were able to be very unique. Yeah, you know, it's not a straightforward beer by in any sense, but it was something that a lot of people grew to enjoy. I love the fact that it was a little more out there, but it was accessible enough that people could go, man, this is just a really good tasting beer. And what an interesting profile. I can't get this anywhere else in the county. You know, I'd have to go, I'd be hard pressed to find this flavor profile anywhere else. So it really was a great pub beer. And yeah, it had accolades and everything. So that was really great. But I just loved the flavor and it was bold, but balanced enough to enjoy for just about anybody who tried it. Even people who don't like smoke or even brown ales for that matter. Really enjoyed it.
It was a brown ale, right? Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
it was brown ale.
Yeah, American. I mean, it's kind of a hybrid mix of everything, but when it won, it won as an American brown with smoke. So, but yeah, no, I mean, that beer, it was the epitome of my journey. You know, it was started by Derek. It was a collaboration with Bill. Smoked beer was Blair's biggest thing he wanted to pass on to the world. So just taking all of those influences and being able to create something like that and still be able to keep it going and brew it again with Bill, see where the ingredients and some of the new stuff is at with this batch, and then be able to make it again for Halloween and make it spot on. I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Nice. Very good. Okay.
Estella.
One of my favorite styles of beer is the Saison. So when I had the Drunken Monkey, that was like, for me, I was like super happy to just drink that beer all day. So that's my number 3. Can you please make that again? I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, a lot of those records were lost to the transition. So I'm hoping that someday there's been a few things that have just appeared on my doorstep. And I'm hoping maybe the recipe book might be one of those things in the future.
Please. Like, please.
Fingers crossed for you. But
unfortunately, I didn't get records of all 300 beers that we made.
What? You don't remember them all by heart?
Yeah.
All right, Abel, number 3 for you, sir.
All right, so my number 3, only because it was more of a media aspect for me, and I don't think Cos was a part of it, but it was when 10 Barrel came around, and then Monkey Paw decided to collab and make 11 Barrel IPA.
That was pretty sweet.
Like I said, I thought that was amazing. I thought it was funny, and I still see people to this day like walking in with 11 Barrel T-shirt on, like that. Like, don't work in the industry, like the customers. Yeah, I just see it, and I every time I'm like, that is the greatest shirt. That was so awesome because 10 Barrel was like trying to come in as a local, craft beer, and we're like, dude, like, here's a bunch of Coors owns you guys. Like, come on now. So
might have flown a plane over that.
You know, Cosmo was like the peacemaker early on when all of these things were occurring, and a lot of acquisitions were being made and things like that. Him and others, we really went out to try to, not give people such a hard time and try to see things from their perspective. So that
I learned a lot because I started out as being, influenced by my boss at the time and being pretty gung ho against stuff, and quickly realized that yeah, well, we live in our own little world, and this is what we care about. The world's not that small, and that's not what we should be caring about.
Yeah, Cosmo should have brewed a beer called Olive Branch, because that was kind of like that was his role early on. I really respected the heck out of that, because I was kind of like stuck in that one world too. But I really appreciated the fact that you got a bunch of people together to actually hear each other, and I wish we'd see more of that these days in a lot of facets of life. That was really, really, really cool to me.
Yeah. So with that Olive Branch beer, do you think it would be green olives or black olives he brew with that?
Oh my god, that's hilarious!
Come on, man!
Just asking for a friend.
Yeah. All right, let's close it out. My third favorite Monkey Pile beer of all time, I5. Straight West Coast Black IPA. Just enough roast and character on the front end, but crisp, clean, bitter finish. Guzzled it, bought it by the pitcher. Few beers I bought by the pitcher, but when they let me, and loved it. Miss it. Am a fan of black IPAs. Wish other people were too. so they would sell better. But thank you. Hope someday I get to taste something like it again. But speaking of all these beers, they're all in cans. And this is a very recent thing for Original 40 to have their beers all canned. How are you guys doing that? You mobile? Did you get a system in? What are you doing?
We pulled the trigger, and we have a piece of San Diego beer history now. We have the 3-head 2005 cask manual canning line, formerly of Benchmark Brewing by way of Creative Creature Brewing.
Wow.
So very simple. It's taken us a little while to dial it in, and plenty of empty aluminum has gone out the back door. But I think we have it pretty well now figured out, what we need to do for the beer in the tank, running the system, all of that. And it's really nice to have that option. Obviously, we did it with the 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever lockdown it was that we went into at the end of November, early December. And nothing against them. Believe me, I'm a big supporter of doing what's necessary. But now we're realizing that most of our production is still going to be in-house. We're back to selling an amazing amount of beer off the drafts, which is the best way for me to see the beer go. But to be able to do 500 or 800 cans of a beer when it's ready, get it out for some brand recognition, and also so that we can bring it home and drink it on the weekends or take it camping. But it is going to be that. It's just going to be a little side thing to give us some freedom to do some one-offs and to spread the love a little bit. But it won't become a major factor in our plan to ramp up.
Yeah.
Right on, man. How has the packaged beer been received so far? And can we find your offerings at local bottle shops? Is it just at the brewery? What's the footprint?
No, we're out and about. We don't have a salesperson right now, so I'm sending the emails. Steve's doing the deliveries. I don't know if I've ever seen an owner go around and touch so many accounts and deliver so much beer. I really got to applaud him for that for the last couple of months. That being said, tomorrow morning we go and we pick up a delivery van. So we will have a company van, and that also means we'll be able to bring someone on to help with the canning days as well as delivering the beers. So it is getting around, Vine and Vine, Crisp, South Bay Liquor, Parkway, all over town. Bottle Crafts have been great supporters of us. So yeah, it's awesome. They're out there. They've been received well. We kind of had a little bit of a lull in production because unfortunately I did pick up the coronavirus a couple of weeks ago. That being said, we'll have 2 new beers in cans next week and 3 beers in cans the week after. So stuff's going to come back, but we're going to keep it very small. Try to make sure that we sell everything in 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll have a little bit available at the brewery as well.
Please tell us what's coming out.
I was going to say, of those coming out, can you tell me which one you're going to be drinking the most of so I can get that one?
Yeah, we're budgeting over here,
Right. Well, I was there's one of these I'm going to save until you guys continue with the monkey paw theme. But this next week, we're coming out with a fresh batch of juice maize. And this will be my second batch that I brewed on my own. And I finally got the yeast that Chris liked to use. I got the fresh hops from this year's crop. So really high hopes on that. So that'll be out this week, as well as a design I don't have at the moment. It's called In Lieu of Flowers. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we do the stouts. That's the last variant with that stout base that we did.
Yeah.
Then the week after, we will have, I don't know if my screen can show you.
Nice.
So that's We Miss Live Music. That'll be our next, that'll be our West Coast IPA.
Nice.
And then our double hazy is going to be Before I Go.
Ooh. Man, dropping all the new stuff here, guys. You only see that here.
Last but not least, this is something I've really wanted to do, and I'm really glad the owner was up for it. And no one can make this beer this quick, so I'm hoping it's okay that I show this off. This is our new Mexican lager.
I cannot believe that got approved. Oh my god, that's bad. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? After the last year of quarantine, if anybody wants to say anything about that, it's because they're the biggest visitor of that site. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's universal at this point. So
not only is it universal, it's also one of the most visited websites in the world. Period.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
So
that's awesome, man.
That'll be out, and we'll kind of lead up to Cinco de Mayo in the summer with that.
And that's just a straight Mexican lager. Does that have any
straight?
Okay.
No salt, no lime, none of that stuff. We'll do some fun stuff with it in the future. But first batch, just like the rest of the lager program at Original 40, just wanted to keep it super clean, fairly traditional, and just let people drink it and not have to think too much about it.
A nice spunky Mexican lager.
You soon. I'll go visit you soon, friend. I always have tahini in my purse too, so we'll see what's up.
That is true. Oh man, that's great. Okay, so world traveler, you spend 3+ years in, one of the greatest cities in the world by most people's accounts. Other than COVID, how has been your return to San Diego?
Well, that has been the return to San Diego. It's been rough. It sucks being in a town where everything is outside, everything is about going places and not being able to. Luckily in Copenhagen, I learned to have that smaller, simpler life, and you get used to the winters and kind of having to bunker down and all of that. But no, it was not a fun, until I started working again. Honestly, the spring, the summer, not being able to go out, having to be overly concerned, taking care of the family, all of that. I don't think it's been fun for many people, but no. Beer's always been here. I was making my weekly runs to Bine and Vine and doing the contactless pickup and having them drop a case of mixed singles in my trunk and trying to keep up with the game. But yeah, it's been why I came back. I know I've accepted, you have stuff to do as a human, as an adult, that is not always fun, but you do it. And so I came back. Unfortunately and fortunately, my dog passed, but he did it in the best way possible at home with his whole family. So, everything I needed to check off, I've checked off. But as we were talking about earlier, it's been checked off, and time to get back in the rhythm, like everyone, having fun, moving forward, doing things. And so that's what we're planning.
So may I ask, what's the biggest difference between you brewing in Copenhagen and here?
The biggest difference is access to knowledge and ingredients. In Denmark, I couldn't do anything in less than 3 days. Here, I wake up in the morning and I can say, oh, you know what? I feel like brewing the complete opposite beer that I had staged for today. Let me call Kelsey. I'll get some yeast. Let me call these guys. I'll get some hops. And boom, 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 boom. God forbid I need to drive up and get a will call order at BSG. So it just, I'm glad that I was put in that position and had to learn to plan longer. We had 15 tanks there, 7 of which were double batch tanks. So a lot of planning to keep that much beer going with the restriction of having to plan ahead so much. And that was on top of the fact that every 4 to 6 weeks, the whole country took 2-week vacations, and I could never figure it out. So it's awesome to be back somewhere where if you need to get shit done, you can get shit done.
You can get shit done. Okay.
So
okay, at least they're so cool about it. Speaking of, you've brewed on a lot of different systems with a lot of different spatial restraints and also an explosion of space at some of the places you were in Europe, and now you're kind of back to what I would consider a regular amount of space. How do you like the system and the setup at OG40?
I love the brew system. Honestly, I want more tanks. It's just I got used to being able to be in that rhythm and really take care of my own yeast and have a full variety on the board and be able to choose between single and double batches on beers and ramp stuff up. So that would be the only thing. Not that as a business, OG40 needs to make more beer right now. But my dream has always been to go to a smaller and smaller system to be able to make beer more often and with more diversity. And that's still my thing. The dream is to have that restaurant where it's a 10-course pairing and every dish has its own beer and those beers change as often as the dishes do. So, for what I have and what is needed to pay a salary and to survive in San Diego, I wouldn't change a thing. But ideally, in the middle of the night when I wake up and think about the dreams, that's what it is.
Rad, man. And I want to go to that fucking beer dinner, by the way. At least monthly, but weekly would be okay too. I'm not kidding. Exceptional beer dinners are something that I will, I'm built for it, first off. But then secondly, I will love them for the experiences when they're done well and the food and the beer are a good marriage. It is just one of my favorite things in life. So I can't wait to go to one of yours someday. It's time for this complicated segment called What We Drank, and it's where we talk about the last beer we drank before the show.
All right, hold on. I thought we were going back to Monkey Paw and the top 3.
Oh, we are.
Will.
We are.
We are.
No, that was just
okay. Then I won't. I'm sorry. I'm really trying to hold back this announcement. So
we're talking about Monkey Paw in like a minute and a half the next time it comes around in the schedule.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go backwards, and I'm gonna go first. For me, this brewery that I've never talked about released the double version of LeBron Hayes, my favorite beer that they've ever made, and it's called King Hayes. I crushed the can, sorry. But like I said,
crushed a can.
This brewery I've never mentioned, Pariah. If you have a chance, go check them out. They make some beer that I enjoy. Abel, what did you drink?
All right, so I'm always constantly working. World's been shut down, but now things are opening up inside and outside. So I was very happy to actually go to Fall Brewing the other day and get to sit outside and not have to order food. And I ordered the Let's Go IPA, and then I ended off with the 2 a.m. bike ride. So those were my last drinks. And I had
you usually do the other way around, right?
Well, I had 3 Let's Go IPAs and 2.
Okay.
You're just trying to keep it classy, Brandon. It
was my first time out in public. Honestly, it was kind of like my first time being there and out in public, because most of the time I get off work, I'll just sit at work and drink. I don't need to go anywhere. But now it's like, all right, cool, I had the day off, I'm gonna go to Fall, and that's what happened.
Yeah, every time I drive by, that patio is packed now.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that busy. It got busier later on. I got there when they opened, so it's really good to get there when they open, because you have a lot of room. But then once it gets to that evening time, because people are getting off work, then it starts getting packed. There was a line by the time I left.
Got it. Okay.
Lovely. Right. And since the screen's rearranged, it makes it Brandon's turn. Last beer you drank before the show, sir.
I had a delicious and depressing beer. So I had Monty's Revenge the SDSU inspired beer
Yeah.
from West Brew and Three Punk Ale.
Three Punk. Hey.
Yeah, let me
So
tell you,
good.
the beer
good.
is absolutely delicious. And I was like, great, I'll be looking forward to drinking this in the second round. No, not so much, man.
No.
I mean, I've never seen a team fail to make an interior pass the entire damn game. It's like, come on, guys.
It was really.
Syracuse did great.
Yes.
I thought it was really rough to draw the orange, and if they won that, you get like West Virginia. Dang, that's a really tough road anyway. But man, they just showed up and just what happened. But the beer was actually really good,
great.
And so despite what happened, I say go out and get that beer. It's really tasty, and it's so red. I know that sounds strange, but it's almost like there's food coloring in it. I know there's not because they never do that, but it's like
Jay
it must
Jones,
be
where you
red.
at, Jay Jones?
I tried to ask Jay about the malt bill. Like, is there red X in there? So I'm like, what's going on? But really, really nice beer. Nice little subtle caramel notes, but like really good hop, just breaking through that malt bill. It's really tasty. So if you can get some, I highly recommend it.
I know that they still have it in the tasting room at Three Punk. I don't know if they still have 4-packs or what. Steve's on here, so he can probably let us know if they still have have it there. But yeah, I was there the day they released that beer, and man, that beer's good.
Oh, it is Red X. Okay, cool.
Red X. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Jay. Hi, Jay.
It is really cool when we can just get our answers on demand from brewery employees and owners. Yeah. Thank you, guys. That's amazing.
Jay, is that beer? Jay's that beer sold out same day. Wow,
it's gone.
Wow.
Oh, good. Well, that's fantastic.
It's like the cable company. And it's gone. All right,
is that available at West Brew at all, or is that sold out at West Brew as well?
We might as well find out, right?
Yes, we might as well close out the subject.
I mean, he'll answer.
It's like $3.94. Padres season's over. You can still drink that. So, Aztec season's done. Drink it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I drank this. This is Mas Chingona from Highland Park Brewing.
Oh, cool.
Blanca saved some for me, and my brother-in-law was nice enough to go pick it up for me and then drove it down for me. So, this is what they made with the Pink Boots blend. So thank you to Highland Park for this, and it's delicious. I think it's sold out as well. This is my last can. I drank all the other ones already, but yeah, this is super good, and it's just a solid IPA. It's delicious. So yeah,
excellent.
Very cool.
So
I love that one.
Field report from Jones is there. You do have a chance. You don't have a chance at Mas Chingona. That's gone. I saw that was sold out.
It was sold out, yeah.
But you have a chance at the Montezuma beer. There's just a couple few 4-packs left. So go to West Brew tomorrow if you have that on your mind. Cos, what was the last beer you drank before joining us tonight?
Oh, cool.
Yes, birdie to bogey.
Yeah.
No, I got lucky. Kelsey needed some hops, like I was saying earlier. He called me up, needed a box of something, and
you had to travel
for the hassle. Not even that. I had to pull the box out of the cold room, and he came to pick it up and left me a 4-pack of Birdie to Bogey that had been canned 2 hours before.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
that was my dinner beer last night.
Have you counted the steps between those breweries? Because it's got to be less than 500.
You know what? I haven't, but I've definitely carried a 50-pound bag of dextrose and a 5-gallon keg between them.
Okay.
Yeah. They're very close. They're definitely walkable, for sure. That's really cool, man. We're going to reverse things and let's get through our number 2 before we jump into our next beer. This is our second favorite Monkey Paw beer of all time. Abel, you're up, sir.
So my second one, I think it was one of your Imperial IPAs, Cornelius. I think is that what it was called?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, so I couldn't remember the name of it, but yes, that is my number 2. I just loved that kind of. I remember being very piney, kind of a grapefruit
real citrusy
with to it. Yeah, that's my number 2.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Down there.
Yeah, right on.
Mine is a beer to the rescue beer that Cosmo was nice enough to put together, and we, my wife and I, just dropped by on a weekend, and the conception of this beer was so fast. He's just like, well, "What do you want to do?" Well, I like Belgian beers. Okay. Well, what do you like? ABV. I'm like, why would you like lower ABV so people can drink more, and like more money will go to the cause. Go to the cause. Anyway,
Nice.
and then he's like, "Well, do you want to put anything in it, like adjunct?" I'm like, "I really like rhubarb." He's like, "Done." Okay, so what we ended up with, I mean, this took all of like 2 minutes, and we ended up with a really cool beer that's like nothing I've ever had before, but it was called Looped Up Single, so that the first 3 letters, loop, the capital letter U and the capital letter S in singles, was lupus. I'm not really a fan, but you get it. But it was a dry hop Belgian style table beer with rhubarb, and it was just really neat. It had this like little vegetal earthy quality with the nice tartness of rhubarb. And rhubarb, if you've ever had it, is really, really tart and delicious. But nice Belgian character as well. It was just a really nice beer, and you know what? I was able to drink several of them on the release day, and it was really fun. And we had a nice event there. It was great. My family came out, friends came out, a lot of the Lupus supporters and the Lupus Foundation folks, and everybody loved it.
That's rad, man. And I love that the amount of support you've been able to give to lupus research through Beer of the Rescue, and hopefully next year when things normalize, you'll be able to get back into that effort, because I know it's near to your heart. Estella?
This was more than anything just something because I love the name as well. Beat LA IPA.
Yeah. Nice.
Straight to you, Mike. Straight to you. But yeah, it was just a really good just IPA. And is it 2016? Cause 20?
Yeah, maybe 15.
2017.
It would have been 20. No, that would have been 2016, the spring, because we were able to get the one tap in there because the patio group got in, and so we had that. We put that in to do the Mexico Park draft.
Yeah, and it was opening weekend against the Dodgers, which is why I remember it more than anything, because I went and drank a whole shit ton of that, and then I went to the game after.
Unfortunately, we all know how that game ended. We were just, like true Padres fans, like all true Padres fans, we're just focused on the future. We don't have to worry about last year.
Love it.
This is the year, baby. This is the year.
Go team, go.
All right. So for me, apparently me and Daniel Womack are on the exact same wavelength, because, again, mine matches his. Sweet Georgia Brown, one of the best brown ales ever made in this fucking city, period. And I miss it. Simple, perfect example of just a little brown ale, just a little extra, maybe caramel back end on the malt. Lovely.
Once again, I just got that was the beer. So I'm sure in the next round we're going to go over the beer that got me the job. That was actually the beer that got Derek the job at Monkey Ball.
Rad.
That was his signature brew. And really, really stoked when I came in to pick up that recipe, to learn the different maltsters and kind of make it my own. But yeah, all these beers have so much history. It's so crazy you guys are bringing them back up.
Just for you, sir. And that means it's time for more beer. We've talked about beer enough. Let's drink some. And it is Bootstrap Paradox.
Yes.
I am so stoked that we did the sweet ones first, and we're following up with the West Coasters. I don't think it's a secret that they're my preference. But background of the beer, what are we drinking, sir?
So this beer was kind of a pendulum swing for me. Came back from Denmark. Not only were the consumers I was dealing with have a little bit of a, shall we say, softer palate than what I was used to here in San Diego, but me producing the beers there and eating the food and just being part of everything, my palate got a little sensitive to bitterness, which I noticed when I came back. Okay. So the first beer that we canned, the first West Coast that we canned, was called When I Was Younger. There's still a little bit of it left. And in fact, last night before I left, I opened a can of that because I was in the mood for it. But that was a very incredibly pale, incredibly low. Yep, the Stella has it right there. Low bitterness West Coast IPA. So I've gotten some comments from some brewers, some reviews that, oh, it doesn't have enough bitterness. How is this a West Coast? Blah, 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 blah. So I went and took it a little bit towards the old school. Still since 2010, but a little bit of color. There's some Vienna malt in here. There's no crystal malt. And then bumped up the bitterness, bumped up the 60-minute edition and the Whirlpool edition a little bit. Still looking at classic hops here. Most of my beers in this realm are going to be Simcoe Amarillo based, and then we'll kind of sprinkle other stuff around on it. But Simcoe is just my go-to at this point. But yeah, just a straightforward West Coast IPA in what my mind remembered it as when I had to brew it for the first time in 5 years. So
that's a great description when you say what your mind remembers a West Coast to be, which is what I think we all want.
Yeah.
Sculpin today tastes incredibly bitter. Stone IPA tastes super bitter today because we have morphed we've morphed what we drink. But I think you nailed it right there. Enough of a bitterness for you to go, ooh, that's bitter. But in a pleasant way where you don't hit that saturation aspirin level. And cheers to that, dude. This is hitting me in all the right feels.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what are the hops?
Mainly Simcoe Amarillo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can pull it up right here.
As a good brewer, he's got access to his recipes right on the same level.
Nobody has a drop-off brewing binder for this one, right?
Yes.
No.
No. It's in the cloud where it's safe.
Yeah.
It's really tasty.
Yeah.
That bitterness just needles you at the end. It's not even like aggressive. It's just
I was gonna say, but
needles your palate in the back of your mouth.
It's just so
there's a little Cascade, Centennial, and Idaho 7 in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Cascade.
It's a melange.
That's the dry hop, and there is Nelson in the Whirlpool. So this was, once again, working with stuff that I have. I have amazing hops. I just don't know between the years and the lots that I have. So I've been kind of blending stuff to make sure that the majority of what's in there is going to be good. And yeah, so far so good.
Nice.
Yeah,
I would agree massively. Yeah. So good.
The next one, We Miss Live Music, is going to be all cryo dry hop, Equinaut, Simcoe, and Amarillo.
Nice.
So, just a heads up on that.
I will be purchasing said beer. Mm-hmm. Please keep the bitterness at this level on the ones that you put West Coast on. Be style specific, and I think it'll click hard. This beer is great, and for all of our fans that miss, again, the memory, what you remember a West Coast tasting like. Yeah. It's he really nailed it with that description.
It's this, I'm like, it's this right here.
I know we have a question coming up. If I could just break in, I just thought of one that I'd really like to ask, if nobody mind. All right. Comparing whack trends in America to whack trends where you're at, which were worse? And tell me about what were some of the whack trends over across the Atlantic? Maybe they don't have them.
They have no idea what whack trends are. So that's the thing, is like, I blew their mind when I made a blonde stout with chilies and I did kind of a Mexican mocha, but on a blonde base. And that was the weirdest thing they'd ever seen. And to be honest, the thing about Europe is that they were really trying to copy us using systems and equipment that just wasn't built for it.
Right.
And everything, not all, but 90% of their inspiration came from what they'd have at festivals from American breweries. So I never would have made a Squid Ink Goes out there. Like we made a monkey pot.
Maybe not. Yeah.
It went over amazing here. All the smoke beers, all of that stuff. So the biggest gimmick that we did in Denmark was when we got together with an Irish brewery and built a Rauch wine, which was an 11% barley wine with 100% smoked malt. And we did 50% smoked malt from Weyermann, and then the other 50% of the malt we actually smoked in-house in our ovens at the brew pub. So for them, that was just mind-blowing different that you'd go that far and make that big of a beer and that style and then involve the smoke. So it's a completely different way of looking at things being weird and wacky. I really appreciate some of the boundaries that are being pushed here. I'm not a big fan of taking a bunch of blue gummy sharks and just melting them into your beer.
What?
But if it sells, and then that's your business model. Luckily, there's 3,000 breweries, and I don't have to work for that one.
Yeah.
But that's the big difference. Is there when they got weird, it was still within reason, and you could find some connection. I feel like we joke about it, but at a certain point, people are just getting weird to get weird.
Yeah.
And that, I hate that that's detracting, and also just taking money and focus away from what should be a beautiful product.
Absolutely, man. Well said. And rolling into that, how has that experience and that contrast affected your overall brewing philosophy?
Well, as I said earlier, I've learned quite a bit about the fact that I don't brew beer for me. That's really the thing. And I had an incredible opportunity in a lot of ways under Blair to brew beer without thinking about anybody else, really. In a certain way, I hate to put it that way, but it was just kind of forced into me that if I liked it, other people would like it because I know what good beer is. And that being said, that's cool on a very small level, but it is a world where we need to exchange energy certificates with each other. And so being able to dial in and brew stuff repetitively and brew stuff that people like and keeping it simple and being able to find the art and the beauty and the fulfillment in myself making those products has been a huge part of it. Like I said, I had that many tanks in Denmark and it was awesome. We got to brew a bunch of different beers. But in the end, the same kind of 5 or 6 beers would be what's sold. So we could switch the hops. We could do some little things where I would still feel like I'm learning something and we're going to make changes. But really, the biggest thing I did there was brew cream ale for them and say, hey, now this sells as fast as your Pilsner, but we can make it in 2 weeks instead of 6, and they don't know the difference. So being able to focus on that kind of thing and come back around and see the business advantage and the reality of the industry along with the artistic side has really been the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think you really categorize it in one big word: maturity. You now have wisdom, not just knowledge. I mean, I can feel it, dude. You are at a different level. It
was cool to be a 40-year-old, 25-year-old for a while, but
I get it. Absolutely, I get it. But why not when you can? But it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear you thinking about the entire process through, and from a production side, switching to an ale product that you can crank out in 14, 15, 21 days, depending on how you add onto the process instead of, like you said, 6 weeks for a lager. I'm sure you can show them that 30 extra turns on that tank in a year is highly profitable.
100%. And there we could call it, I can't believe it's not a Pilsner. And
and not get in trouble. That's right.
It was 100%. We had one called that, and we had one called Pilsner Ati, which means Pilsnerish. And
okay.
Rad, man.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time for something that we have never actually done on the show, and we're going to compare 2 stouts live, one-on-one action. I can't believe it. Molennium Falcon and Patsy's Last Ride. Yes, I am going to drink the coconut beer. People always ask me why I drink them, and I have the same answer. You cannot drink all the beers unless you drink all the beers.
You've had really good. You're really good luck on the show drinking these beers. I think when you're away from the show, you get some duds, but when you're here, it's like people care about you. They give you the good stuff.
Yes, I agree.
And it's not the devil.
And honestly, if it wasn't for the show, I would have never drank a coconut beer ever, or more beyond the first one. But I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer, and but let's start with Molennium Falcon. What's the story behind this beer, sir?
Well, I'll start with a story, just kind of the overarching story here.
I love the name. Continue. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. all credit due to my Cellarman's girlfriend, Amanda, for coming up with it. So came back, obviously, by a canning line. It's end of November, early December, trying to figure out what the heck we can sell in cans. The market is saturated. Everybody's canning. But what do I want to drink right now? It's almost stout season. I love playing with adjuncts. So we also wanted to support the local businesses. And so we talked with Brad over at Nomads and decided to do a collab with him. That being said, we knew we didn't want to make 15 barrels of one stout. So we do have a little 2.5 barrel fermenter in-house because there's a pilot system that never got used. But we have a SS Systems little tank there, which gives us a lot of freedom. So we brewed a stout, brewed 12 barrels of it. The first bit of that stout was a raspberry cocoa stout called Grin and Berry It. That's the one we did with Nomad. Sold out super quick right before Christmas. So these are the next two variants off of that batch of stout. The coconut was first, and then the Molennium Falcon. The Molennium Falcon is a little bit of a throwback. The second anniversary I was at Monkey Paw, we made Cosimo Porter, which was another homebrew recipe like I5, like Bonobos. These are all Chris West inspired recipes, along with myself. And it went over amazing. The philosophy behind any of these adjunct beers is that we want you to enjoy the entire pint. And at the end of the pint, you figure out what the story is that we're trying to tell you. Okay. There's beers that are made to go to a festival, drink 1.5 ounces, you get blasted in the face, but you never want to drink a bottle to yourself.
Yeah.
I really want to make beers that people can drink a second pint of. Okay. So this is not quite the same as that beer because that beer had hot side edition. Everything was designed for it, but very similar in the spice profile. You're going to have epazote, cumin, coriander, a few different chilies. Cascabel is the one we really like to push in this. But there's also smoked and fresh jalapenos, arbol, the whole range. I just go to Pancho Villa and grab everything off the spice rack, essentially. Yeah.
I got to tell you a different place to go, friend. You get much more stuff. But anyway, does it actually have mole, or is it just all mole inspired? Is what I'm
mole
asking.
Inspired. We don't cook the mole down and add all the fats and stuff. We want to add it to where it's not going to affect the beer as much. So once again, with this one, the spice is there. I feel like the cumin definitely comes out. Mm-hmm. But it's just a nice light spice stout when people come in, namely Howell. That is our biggest supporter and regular. I love that guy. But he came in the other night and he was making a potato soup with bacon, and he wanted a crowler of just one of our base stouts to go, and gave me a can of this to take home with it, because I think that this is the type of beer that can just really add that little extra with some food.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. I do want to pair this with mole because this would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Mole on mole action.
Or even this with birria. Like we used to serve a smoked birria at Mujeres. I think that would be fire if I had this with
just that little bit of complimentary note to bring it up, but it's got enough of the carbonation and acidity that it cuts through. It's not too sweet for a stout base. So yeah, no, really, really, really like this one, but it's more of a preview of what we'll do when we're able to make some bigger batches of some of these beers and do it full on.
Before we jump into Patsy's, are both these still on draft?
They are not on draft. This is something that we're learning, but these were brewed or flavored during the shutdown. So we and this is where the business comes in as well, is that when we make labels, we have a minimum of 500 labels we have to print. And that little tank makes about 500 cans of beer.
Got it. Okay.
And the labels cost about 33 cents a piece. So we can't buy 500 labels, make 200 cans, waste $100 on something we're only making 2 kegs of.
Right.
So far we've been canning these. That being said, we're looking at different processes, different printers, different everything, so that we can do some canning on stuff, but have it available on draft as well.
Okay.
All right.
But are both of these available now, so they can go in? And
they are available in cans still, absolutely.
It's still at the brewery.
And the last version of this stout base will be released next week. It's called In Lieu of Flowers, and it is a chocolate and rose stout.
Ooh, nice.
I'm like, hello. Hi.
We actually did 3 pounds of dried rose petals, made our own tincture, did our own infusion, and it's one of the craziest beers I've ever drank, and I'm not saying that as a sales point. We tasted it today together, and when you drink it first, it's all chocolate, and then that moment you start getting the retro olfactory back up your nose with the aroma, it's huge rose, and then it just goes back to chocolate and disappears.
Wow.
Okay.
But we took 2.5 weeks and adding more rose. We didn't want it to be potpourri. We didn't want it to be like
because rose is really sensitive. Yeah, you have to be very careful with rose. Yeah.
But we'll see how it translates once we actually package it. But really, really excited about that beer. I think it's something the bottle shops that we sell to were like, hey, so what do you guys want? And they're like, we just want something different. So I'm hoping this is different enough. For
it sounds like it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
Does it have like kind of a Middle Eastern type feel with like
there is
water?
A bit of that. Absolutely. It's not as soft as rose water, but it's that same kind of floral perfumey note, but like I said, not getting into the potpourri.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
it's like the coconut not getting into the sunscreen, you know?
Yes.
You gotta ride that line.
So speaking of coconut,
you see what Mike said? Mikey just bringing the fire today. He said, make a shirt that says Brian loves coconut.
Thanks, Mike.
Going away present, huh?
Yes, exactly. Tell me what I'm about to hopefully enjoy. On the rare occasion I enjoy a coconut beer.
Okay, so this one was the challenge of stepping back into a brewery, having a large quantity of hops that a lot of people are not enjoying in the way they're being used. That hop being Sabro. Yeah. It's an incredibly polarizing hop from what I've observed. And I've actually had it in some straightforward beers where it works wonderfully. The foggy style that we still have a little bit of on draft. A Chris and I collaboration. Once again, that was kind of him going out, asking what I was doing in Denmark and us putting those forces together. That has some Sabro in it. And you don't get coconut, but it just kind of gives it this fullness in the dry hop that balances the other hops. But I knew Sabro was really famous for the coconut. You mentioned the i5 earlier. Our most popular version of the i5 was with the salt and coconut. So I knew with this stout, I kind of wanted to go to the old hits. The Mole, that's my dad's favorite beer. It was our anniversary beer with the Cosimo. So the Patsy's Last Ride, and that's a reference to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Patsy was the little sidekick of the coconuts. And once again, thank you, Jacobo, for that reference. So yeah, we added salt to it. We dry hopped it with Sabro cryo, and then put a shit ton of coconut in it, and just tried to get that fuller body with the roundness, but that more nutty coconut instead of the suntan lotion kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't see this as being like coconut forward. Not to me anyway.
No.
I don't know how you feel about this, Brian, that you're so sensitive to coconut. Is it super coconut to you? Or?
Oh yeah, it's so
Really?
coconut. But like Cosimo described, a roasted coconut versus a raw candy bar-y or sunscreeny coconut. And if I was to have to drink coconut beers, this is the flavor area I'm looking for to get from them. Also, I think you have done what the better people seem to do with Sabro is get a woody quality more than necessarily a coconutty. So I'm getting a little bit of a woody in there, like not like you had this in a barrel for a while, even though you didn't. So really, for me, again, as Brendan said, we've had really good luck at subjecting the anti-coconut guy to coconut beers.
Is this number 6 that you like?
It's at least number 5, and none of, okay, let's be clear, none of them were like tolerate. And for me, that's a win. So kudos, Cosmo, for adding your name to the list of coconut beers I can tolerate.
I feel like you're saying that.
I mean that with love. I mean that with love.
This is so different than like a Maui coconut porter, which I actually really like. I love coconut personally, so nothing gets me down about coconut. But it's a completely different type of character, and I think like the nuttiness that Cosmo's talking about and the woodiness you're talking about, that's how that's interpreted on the palate. And I get a lot of the great roasty notes from the malts too, that like come in there, and they are the star of the show for me. And there happens to be coconut there too, but both beers are great. I really love the Molennium Falcon. I think that's just great. So there's epizote in there, you said?
Yes.
Well, great. It's got digestive properties that are positive for you as well, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a nice little bonus.
Only the second time we've ever mentioned epizote in the history of the Indie Beer Show. Just
what was the first time?
When we actually ate it. When you guys made me eat bugs with Good Seed Food Company. You guys remember that? Yeah.
It's one of my favorite all-time moments. What do you mean? Of course I remember the bug show. It was so awesome.
I had to work that night, so I was.
Yes, I really enjoyed the bugs.
Like, oh, look, I gotta go.
Yes, exactly.
You want to eat worms? All right. Damn.
Luckily, no worm.
I ate every single dish, you guys.
She did good. She was a champ.
Back then, you could only hear it, but she really did it. Yes. I saw it with my own eyes.
Oh my god! I'm so glad there was not video of that. So yeah.
Not everything needs to be live streamed.
She was a real champ, for real.
Yeah. Oh Lord! Oh Lord!
That's right, man. Yeah. What really sticks out is. These beers have vastly different flavor profiles, and while you have said they're the same base, it really shows what you can do with flavor and time and different techniques and treatment. So, thank you for allowing us to drink them side by side and contrast and compare. It again, something that we don't get to often do on the show. I mean, obviously, it's what we do in life. Once we can get back to life. Yes, exactly. But I mean, like,
slowly.
My whole life was buy a flight of beer, compare it to itself. Yeah. Does this brewery warrant a second flight? I mean, that was literally my a decade of my life. But it will be forever too. Once I'm allowed to do that again, I can't wait for just running into a friend that I didn't expect to see that day at a local North Park establishment. And we can exchange long, awkward hugs. Like it feels like we're only like 4 or 5 months away from that really being a possibility again. Yeah. And I hope that's really true, man. Hold on to the rails, San Diego. We've done really good so far.
I think it's closer. I mean,
I hope so.
It's something where like I wear it on my sleeve essentially. Like if I see you come in the door, I'm gonna ask you if you've had your shot. I had Corona. I got my shot 2 weeks later. Like I'm the safest person to be around. Like please, let's share a beer. Please, let's have a hug. Like it is that time, and we're lucky enough to be in a place that we're that close to it. And man, that's what it's all about.
Until you meet that person that you don't want to hug from, and you have no excuse now.
Yes.
You know what? I'll take that hug for all the other hugs.
Yes, right.
Talking about you, Chris Giggles.
Yes, I saw a great meme that was like, "Oh shit, I got to start making up excuses on why I don't want to hang out with people again."
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm ready for long, super awkward, like to the point where we like question something hugs. I'm ready for those type of hugs.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yeah, we're going to put the qualifier on it. Yeah.
Brian, is that a Rolo in your pocket?
Yes, exactly. A Rolo. Awesome.
Are those hops in your pocket, Cosmo?
That's the 44-pound bag, not the 11-pound.
Yes, indeed.
Call me Cashmere.
It's not the Idaho 7, it's the Stratosphere.
Are you doing the last Monkey Paw beer or what?
We actually saved that for the end of the show because that's what we call a hook in the biz. So that's coming up after the San Diego beer news. Brandon, please inform the public of all the hottest button or hot ticket items in San Diego beer news this week, sir.
All right. A survey came out. Coconut beers are hot. Just kidding. So Ruler Brand in Carlsbad had some big news in that they're going to be opening up in North Park. Everybody wants to be in. But over in the building that houses the observatory. So the beer selection there just got a lot better, or will very soon.
Go to Terra Santa.
Yes. Anyone listening?
What's that? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Actually, like Tierra Santa, Scripps Ranch, Rancho Bernardo. Anyways, but I digress.
Places without beer, not where we have plenty. I mean, just
yes.
Well, you see, you don't understand. They're an entire 2 blocks from 30th, right? So it's almost like another. Yeah. It's almost like another country. It might as well be like Taproom Beer Company. They're not even part of. Everyone's like they're not part of North Park. They kind of are, but whatever. At any rate, so that's a really big thing for them to be able to do that. They're going to have a coffee program, and they're bringing in somebody who's an expert in that realm, and that'll be really fun. But they're also going to have a small kitchen, and they went with somebody to helm that, kind of give them I think it's from a consulting standpoint, but somebody we all know and love, Tyson Blake from, let me see, O'Brien's Pub, West Coast Tap Smokehouse, Keg Seeker. I'm sure there's other things too.
I say he has to have other businesses. That's not enough.
Right, but we all love the beer and food pairings he's done for a long time, and his mind is perfect for maximizing small space as well. So it's going to be great to see what they put together, but they're expected to open in the summer, and that should be really fun. And in a bikeable community, I mean, the governor before made sure that it was a very bikeable community. So I have to think that there'll be some people who really appreciate Ruler's thematic, but they're going to go from celebrating competitive biking to celebrating bike messengers and recreational and city and urban biking. So I think that's a really smart move on their part to recognize where they're at and go a different route. But that should be really fun. Another business is coming up kind of soon in the next month or so is a husband and wife out of OB. Bless you.
I'm sorry.
I'll never forgive you for sneezing. Epizote can take care of certain bodily functions and not sneezing. So this new business is called Itza Brewing, and because of the pandemic, they said we wanted to open a tap room. We really want to have that communal sense of enjoyment of beer, but right now, let's face it, it's just not going to work for us and our budget. So we're going to go ahead and just launch online. We're going to sell to retail establishments online as well as customers who are just individual patrons. It's kind of a sign of the times, but they're going to specialize in IPAs. That's not a surprise, and porters. I think that is kind of a surprise in a city where you can barely find a porter, much less multiple porters. So that should be really interesting. But it's a nano brewery sized deal that they've got going, and I think it's going to be kind of like a throwback to what we used to see back in the day before the brewing was so established. Back when somebody just said, you know what, I really love brewing. I'm a home brewer. I want to see what I can do. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And maybe the pandemic is a nice time to see that. And with an online platform, it's a little more doable than like expecting to pay rent and do all of that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that all pans out. And last but not least, another husband and wife brewery, Groundswell Brewing, after some negotiations, apparently they were not able to reach a agreement with their landlord in Santee, which is their headquarters and their main production brewery. So they are going to have their last day of service at their tasting room on Sunday, March 28th.
Oof.
But they are still going to be maintaining the smaller brewery and tasting room in Grantville and the kitchen and tasting room they have on 3rd Avenue over there in Chula Vista. They're going to move the employees who were at Santee, which I have to think at this point during the pandemic was probably a skeleton crew, over to the other locations. But they were, the important thing for them is they said no one's going to lose their job over this. So,
that's really good.
Yeah, and then they're going to try to figure way go forward. I don't have a lot of information on it, but I do know that this is occurring, so I wanted to bring it up. But so if you enjoy going to that place, you've got till the end of the weekend to go say goodbye and see what they're up to.
And Grantville was where they brewed originally. So a lot of people are asking that question, what's going to happen, because they were brewing in Santee. But yeah. But I got one piece of news. I got one piece of news for you guys. It has to do with the show.
No way.
And our opening day party.
What?
Yeah. So we're going to have an opening day party at Ale Tales in East Village. You can go in there from 10 to 1:10, which is when the game starts. We are going to have the Indie Beer Show Slam Diego flight. Each one of us is picking one beer. You will be able to go in there and order that flight. If you do order that flight, you do get entered into raffles, which is going to be prizes from Ale Tales, the Indie Beer Show, Mujeres, Shelton Cleaners. It's Padre season, baby. Let's go.
I can't wait. It was kismet that my last show ended up on opening day and also April Fool's Day and all of and like it was perfect, and I cannot wait to share with the public our Slam Diego flight, which we will announce a little later in the week, and you'll get to go enjoy this flight. And if you want, if you're a champion, you'll be able to buy 5 growlers to bring home and drink with us if you want to do that. If you're at opening day, don't then also buy 5 crowlers. Like that's a lot. You could, but that's a lot. It's a lot.
But and also
gotta make up for last year, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we do have to make up for last year.
They're gonna have beer specials, food specials. I know they're gonna be having $3.94 for $5.
Nice.
For that show, also during all games. And we got 3 DJs for you guys that day. They start at 10 a.m. Yep. Start at 10 a.m. Go right up to game time. And then we're going to the game after that. So, yeah, please come out to Ale Tales. I will be there. Hang out with us. There will be exclusive merch you can purchase that day as well from Mujeres. That is all Padre colors. So, you know. Ooh. But you can win a bunch of prizes too. That merch will only be available there as well. So yeah, we're picking beers, you guys. So you can come and drink the beers there in a flight.
That is awesome.
It should be pretty rad. Yeah.
I can't wait to build the Voltron of beer flights. Where we each pick a champion.
I'll be pissed.
I won't get to go to opening day. I will get to go to opening weekend, so I can't freaking wait. We get to go to the Saturday game. So thank you, Padres, and also thank you to the public in general for doing so well getting vaccinated. That we've slowed down the rate of COVID spread enough that we can have 20% of the stadium occupied, and we get to cheer on our guys finally. I'll be up in the nosebleeds, but I'll fucking be there, and that's what matters to me.
I'll be there fully vaccinated. I'm good. I'm good.
I won't be fully vaccinated until middle of May, but I am 1 shot in, and so this will be the only game I go to not fully vaccinated. By the time I get to go to another game, I'll be fully protected. So that's all great news.
If you can come out and drink with us, please come out. If you can't, you can still buy the flight for a week after.
Excellent.
So.
We're gonna have some staying power. I love it. And so, are you the type of person that needs their news early? I mean, I know I am. And to do that, what you have to do is go to Patreon/San Diego Beer News, $5 a month, and you get all of your beer news an hour before the general public does. It's or more. Yeah. Our listeners are the exclusive type. So get in on the club and join that. Once again, that's Patreon/San Diego Beer News, $5 a month. You get everything an hour early. And speaking of Patreon,
or you could be Soggy Biscuits.
Or you could be Soggy Biscuits, which wow, that was pretty good, Cos. That was pretty good. And if you don't get the joke, I'm sorry, we're not explaining it.
That joke was gravy.
Yeah,
yes.
Really good. That was really good.
That like double dad jokes.
That's your grandpa joke.
Yes, it was very well.
You said it, Sonny.
So if you didn't hear, Mr. Hernandez is a fresh grandpa. Happened in between shows. So congratulations, Brandon, on becoming a grandpa. By all accounts, everyone is happy and healthy. Correct?
Oh yeah, she's beautiful, awesome, clearly a genius, and an athletic star, and someone's gonna change the world.
Hey,
yes.
What is her full name? What is her full name? Like, did I see it on there somewhere?
Olivia Crew Hernandez.
Oh. Excellent. Welcome to the world, Olivia. You are well loved. We haven't even met you yet, and you're well loved. But if we provide enough entertainment or laughter, you want to support us, you can find us at patreon.com/theindiebeershow. If you join at the pint level, that's $6 a month. We shout you out every freaking episode. And this week, we have to thank Ben, Bill, Brian and Christopher from Pariah, Brian Goo, Captain Eli, Casey, Dan Diegos, Dante, David Martin, Doug, Four Brewers Podcast, Garen with Beer Alien, Greg from Stones, Mr. Prinz, the Indie Beer Show, brand COVID-19, socially distanced, Zorball LLC. Thanks to Maggie and Greg for making me say that.
I want to see the LLC registration on that.
Right, exactly. Maybe it's not exactly limited. Maybe it's just an LC. Maybe it's a liability corporation. We don't know until we see an actual freaking ticket. James, Jared, Jason, Jess from Ale Tales, who is working with us for the Tibbs Slam Diego flight. Cannot wait. Joaquin from Quaff. Joseph, who is listening. Joey from the Hoppy Beer Gear. Juan, Judith the Beer Historian. Kenneth, honorary patron for life, Larry Smith. Liz Bauer from Hausbauer. Matt and Kenneth Babineau, who are listening. Matt Knapp from The Perfect Pour. Miguel, Mr. Peacock from Tadcraft. Mike, Norman, OC Burger, Pacific Beer Chat, all the way up at America's Hat, Canada. Robert for 13 Point. Rudy the Artist. Sergio Nikos. Tomadas Las Golondrinas, who is listening. And Vegas Jay. We love you all. I said it right. I'm sorry I messed it up. But we love you all. Thank you very much for your support. We could not do this without someone supporting us. And these 48 people are the best. So we got to get into our number one beers, that our favorite beer of all time from Monkey Paw. Let's start with Estella, your number one, lady.
Santa's Pet Monkey. Is that everybody's?
No, Brad. But it's a great one.
Mine. I'm like, that's mine for sure. Can you make that again, please? Thank you.
We shall see. We shall see.
That was an interesting. Yeah, I didn't expect that one, but I feel like something similar to that is definitely in the cards.
Rad. That is awesome.
Are you talking regular or s'mores version?
No,
it has to be s'mores.
Oh, it's s'mores. That was all that.
Regular version.
But now we have marshmallow fluff. Like we don't.
Yes,
True.
Yes, it's rad. Abel, number one, sir.
All right, so this goes back to when the very first time I walked in there. I think it was like into 2012, maybe beginning 2013, somewhere around there, when I first went to Monkey Paw. The first beer I saw,
young Abel.
I was very young Abel. I was very young, naive Abel. I didn't know anything about beer, but I loved stouts, and so of course I jumped on the first one I saw on the board, which was Mighty Joe Young. Jumped on that one right away, loved it. Then the second one was the Sweet Georgia Brown after that, and that was it. So that was Mighty Joe Young was my first one I went with, and that was my first Monkey Paw experience beer.
That is awesome, and not one of you has answered this question the way I expected. It's so rad, Mr. Hernandez.
We all have different answers.
Yeah, it's rad, Mr. Hernandez. For you, number one, sir.
I thought for sure everybody's going to have the same number one. So, yeah, I thought everybody was going to say Aurora Happy Alice, but they didn't. So, inside joke. But I changed into this jersey not for one reason, but for two reasons. Because I freaking love Beat LA.
Hey!
That's an original 40 for you. That's an original 40. And I enjoyed many pints of that beer. Okay, so I grew up poor, but went to a lot of Padres games, sat up in the last freaking row. And, my mom taught me very, very early, like, we don't pay for food or beverage at the game. And that has lived on through my life today. Like, I still don't barely buy anything at the stadium. But, man, I've bought enough Beat LA at that little patio thing to get blitzed so much that I don't remember, like, 4 games.
Nice.
And it was just delicious at the pub, at the game, and it was just a great thing to have. Perfect name and just a really great hop composition. But if somebody doesn't say the other one that I wanted to say but thought everybody would say,
I got it. I got it. It's all good. I mean, clearly you all fucked up and left bonobos on the table. So, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest beer that Monkey Paw ever brewed. What?
I knew you guys were going to say that. I knew it.
What? Yes! No bonus. All right.
I knew you were going to say that.
Amazing beer. So,
it'll be like 5-6 weeks out. We haven't brewed it yet, but we've talked about it. We've made the label. It's coming back. I found the Falconer's Flight. We're going to do the original recipe. I'm going to invite Chris West back and have a collab with him. And yeah, that beer deserves to be brewed again.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, and also what I believe the first beer that was called a San Diego Pale Ale that is still referenced today, meaning that really the hoppiness quality of an IPA with just a barely lighter malt bill. And now there's a lot of breweries that are brewing beers that call them a San Diego Pale, but it all started here, at least for me. Now, if I could pull in a Stella and sneak in a tie, it has to be Hooked on Chinook. And as far as a sea hop, Chinook is my favorite, and Hooked on a Chinook was just the epitome of bringing the tropical fruitiness of that hop forward with its known dankness. And thank you.
My first recipe at Monkey Paw.
Well, my mouth knew you were bound for greatness from day one then. Because for years, my favorite beer at that facility was Hooked on Chinook before Bonobos, came to fruition. Thank you.
I know he was awesome back at Farmhouse Cafe, baby.
Yes, of course. Yes, indeed. But everyone played the game pretty well, except for the fact that you all left. Yeah, it was great. The best part that came out from all of this is that beer is coming back.
It's coming back
at OG40. And thank you, Cos, for sharing all of these exclusives and looking out for us, let's call them. You've brought a lot to the table, sir.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure and my honor to be here with you.
Oh, thank you, friend.
This whole journey with everything, Brian, I'm sad to see you go, but I'm glad that you've had the journey you've had, man, and look forward to next week. But
I have had I've had an amazing decade, and I'm not going anywhere physically. I'm just not going to be shouting every day. Yes, Thursday. I won't be in your bedroom every Thursday. My nothing has changed about my love and support of indie beer, and nothing will change with that. It just I need to break free of the weekly obligation to focus on. It sounds shitty, but making money so I can get me and my wife in a house and life shit. And also
in the comment section though, it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's all going to be fine. And
I would have done that better.
Yes. So it's all going to be great. But before we walk out of here, Cos, what are the best social media channels to keep up with everything Original 40?
Original 40 beer, all around, pretty easy to find. But yeah, check us out. Instagram and Facebook are the main ones. I'm actually not sure on Twitter because I don't have Twitter.
It's Instagram.
We have an awesome social media company that takes care of stuff for us. But on Instagram, I'm Cos the Brewer, Original 40 beer. Between the two, you'll see everything that's going on.
And just for the record, for people that are typing into their phone right now, 40 is a number, not the word. It's
like on the shirt and the hat.
Yeah, it's just like on the shirt and the hat. Also, one of the most Instagrammable places in North Park. So just the inside is beautiful.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Yeah,
they built that place to be photographed.
You got to keep up with Kelsey, you know, like,
right?
The standards set in that neighborhood. The bar is high, so we're right there with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at cheers@indie.beer. We're at Indie Beer Show on Twitter, at the Indie Beer Show on Insta and Facebook. If you want to be the first person to leave us a voicemail, Estella basically dared everyone last week, but still no one called. 619-798-6038. For everyone listening, everyone that commented, everyone that joined us, thank you so much for joining us. For Cosimo, Estella, Abel, Brandon Hernandez, and myself, I'm Brian. And for almost the last time, you've been listening to the Indie Beer Show. Thank you, and good night.